Hi, this is Kim Pinkney, and welcome to my channel. Alrighty, so continuing with uh, my hoodie here, Kimetsu no Yaiba, and drawing the characters on here. From the top here, for those who are just joining me, I've done the mask that Tanjiro, wears on the side of his face. Um, he wore it in a few episodes. So he has that there, and it's supposed to give him power or something like that. On the front, I have him in this big pose, and this, please bear with me, this thing is a 3X hoodie. I mean, this thing is huge. It fits me like a glove, which is sad. But it would probably swallow anybody else up. But it's big, it's heavy, and it's soft on the inside, so kind of like me. Okay, so I got Tanjiro here. I'm going to put like a water type dragon here from his little power that he uses. I still need to finish the leg here. And then I've got other characters from the show on the sleeves. Here's one right here. Almost done. Just need to do the feet. Just need to put the detail of the toes here. And then this side will be done. And then I got this side here. I did a good portion of this live stream and on a speed video. I still need to add some details to his face to get the orange to come back down a little bit more and to brown up his eyes and maybe to enhance his his fear. He's a very fearful character until he lights himself up. So I got all the way down to his bottom with his feet. He doesn't have to show toes. And this wraps pretty much around the arm. So pretty cool. Still need to add a little bit of detail here on the bottom of his sword sheath and maybe add a little bit of gray for some shadows. I need to do some detail here on his belt. And then today I'm going to go ahead and start on the back. And then a lot of this, the smaller details, things that I just don't have time to show on the live stream, I'm going to go ahead and do off screen and just add like little details and stuff like that. Or maybe on a Saturday, just go through and just like blitz through all the little details that I just wanted to keep the forward momentum going. It does take a lot of time because this is a black hoodie and I only have an hour or two a day to devote to it full, hardcore. And then the other time I'm pretty much traveling to work and back if I don't fall asleep on the bus. Okay, so moving forward, keeping that forward momentum, and enough babbling, on with the show. Around here on the back, when you do a hoodie piece, your hood is going to 90% of the time is going to cover a good portion of your back, at least up to here. So I like to take my hoodie and work about down here. I know part of it will be obscured, so like this top part, this very top part will probably be obscured. So I bring it down at least a hand or two hands down from the top here, and I have a good idea that it's going to, everything from here on should be exposed. You also run the risk of being a little too low, but I don't wear the hoodie often, but I probably want to, but this is Florida and it's freaking hot. Okay, I have a very big hoop here. I think it is, this one says that it's 18 inches. I guess 18 inches in diameter. It's a big hoop. Okay, so I'm going to try to bring this up as high as I can so you can see how I put this in. If you decide to use embroidery hoops to help stabilize your art, your fabric, There's two pieces. The inner piece goes on the inside, and sometimes the hoops have a lip. And if you do have one with a lip, the lip would be on the top, touching your fabric. So I'm gonna go ahead and slip this bad boy on in. Okay, so I'm going to work from the very bottom here. Ah, I must have hit something. Let's see. Where'd my music go? There we go. I have my keyboard here. I need to move it. Move, keyboard! Move! Go, go, go! But I still need all my equipment. Okay, so I'm going to use the very bottom here, the seam, as the very end. So I'm going to just go ahead and roll this down. And everything in between is going to be fair game. I'm going to try to get it as centered as possible, but that's not necessary in this case. My artwork is kind of off-centered. But I try to leave, let's see, we put that on in there. The hoodie is here. Okay. So this gives me about a hand and maybe a half of space doing this. It may vary when you have a smaller hoodie. Okay, so I just go ahead and slip that on. Now, usually when I use this kind of hoop that has no lip on it, with a t-shirt, it slides all over the gosh darn place, like nobody's business. And that's only because it's such a thin fabric. This one here is significantly thicker, and I shouldn't have the same problems as I have when I have a shirt. Okay, so I'm just tightening a bit, and you don't want to over tighten when you do your drawing. Not so much when you paint or anything like that, or color, but when you're doing the initial drawing, you don't want to over tighten the shirt that's underneath. See, now I've got it to a good portion where if I tap on it, it gives back. So it's a nice flat surface rather than trying to draw it flat on like a board or anything like that. Now it's not going to slip anywhere. As long as I don't put too much pressure on it, I won't need any clips. This is nice and thick, and but like with a t-shirt, it's thin, and even if it doesn't have the grip, it may slide a bit on you, so I use clips to help me out on that. So this is a good tightening. It's not pulled apart so much so that when it comes back together, because this kind of fabric, it stretches. But if you stretch it too far, you'll be able to see inside of it, like you can see the underside of it. That's too much. If you pull it apart too much, once it comes back together, it'll be all distorted. So just be careful on how tight you make this. You don't need it too tight. You want to have a type of pencil that will show up on here, something that you don't have to like really put pressure on too much, that it just comes right on out. And I found, or lost, my pencil. Oh, well, damn. Where'd you go? Did I bring it up? I usually buy more than one. You can get away with using an HB pencil or a white, let's see, on this case I'll have to use a white pencil. I'm trying to find one that's close by that's not doo-doo. In a pinch, you can use any kind of white pencil that will wash out. This one here is a Prismacolor Premier. It'll mark pretty well. This is an actual laundry marking pen, water soluble, so it comes off when you wash it, and you can use that to make your mark. Let's see. But the pencil that I want to use must have rolled off because I don't see it anymore. Where art thou? Where'd you go? As prepared as I try to be. Oh, no, that's not it. Everything white looks like the pencil I'm looking for. Oh boy, I hate when this happens. Okay, so I'll just have to fall back on number 1 and 2. Or number 2 and 3, rather. Okay, so I'm going to use the laundry marking pencil until I can find my other pencil. I mean, this jacket is a monster. It will roll off my table. It'll pull me down with it. Let's see. One last look around to see if I can find my pencil. I wore it down to a nub on, from working on this shirt. Okay, I don't see it. All right. Also, to give yourself a little bit more backing, you want to use something that's kind of smooth, nothing with texture. You don't want to use cardboard that has the corrugated, because it'll leave that texture on your art. So this one here is a mounting board. It just happens to be white. And I'm just going to slip that underneath and in between, and this just gives me that extra backing. So if I do need to put a little bit of weight behind my hand here, I'll have at least something behind it to work with. Okay, so now this is almost like working on paper. I have an idea of what I want to do for Nezuko. Let's see. Alright, I want her coming out of the back. Now, if you haven't seen the anime, let's see, she'll be about this big, so I gotta remember to stay within this parameter here. She is Tanjiro's little sister, or younger sister, and he wears her on his back whenever he's trying to find a cure for her demon affliction. And he carries her in a box on his back. So, how appropriate it would be to also carry Nezuko on our backs. So, and she's a pretty cute character. She has the ability to revert back to like a toddler size or chibi size, which is pretty cool. It just makes her even cuter. Okay, let's see. And we'll just use the parameters here. I was tempted to make her, no, my line is probably not absolutely straight. That's okay. I'm not worried about that. I'll have so much detail on here. It's like straight lines, schmaight lines. You don't even notice them. Well, you probably would if it was really warped. But yeah, so I'm doing that. Okay, cool thing about using the white pencil, sometimes you can just rub it right on out. Unlike with a black or gray pencil, you can't really do that. Not without making a mess on a light shirt. It'll wash out eventually, but you know, it's kind of messy. And the paint will cover it up. Any of that stuff. Yeah. Alright, so anyway, just getting the box boundaries here, and then I'm going to go ahead and throw in there. See, we'll have her head kind of be about right here. Okay, we're not going to really see the bottom of the box too much, and let's see, we've got plenty of room down here if I need to go bigger. It's good to know. Alright. Now she's kind of hunched over. And she's like, her eyes will be about like right here. She's got like these voluminous robes here. is her leg. And because this pencil is not that bright, like it might be brighter on your end than mine, and it's kind of funny, I'm kind of looking at the screen to help me see it a little bit better. It's a little bit like, it's like a dull gray on my end. Alright, and she's got these cute boots, which are pretty much like fabric gathered. And I can't forget her hand. Let's see, I'll put that right here. Now I could just put a big slab of white in the silhouette, but the thing about it is that I would lose where my initial lines were. I would have to start all over again, putting all the lines back and guessing whatnot in the silhouette. So what I like to do is at least give myself some landmarks. It won't be perfect, but it's better than working from pure white, you know, slab. Now once this is painted, or primed rather, because you don't want to paint directly onto the black unless you want like shadows. It's just something about the fabric will just suck up all your color. So I prime it with white so that the color really stands out. Now if you're adding glow-in-the-dark type of paint, it works best directly onto the fabric, but you still run the risk of it getting all sucked up by a colored fabric, so you end up having to use more, you know, putting layer upon layer upon layer of that same color. Whereas, you know, buying white paint is cheaper than having to replace expensive colors. But really, it's not that expensive, these colors. I use fabric paint, but I've also, for the primer, I'm using just acrylic, and I'm adding to the acrylic paint. You don't want to add water because that breaks it down and it'll stay, but eventually it'll break down a little too much. So I don't recommend using water. And some of my earlier shirts, I was using a little bit of water to blend my colors, and I found that over time, like over 4 or 5 years, that color kind of washed out, while the other colors that weren't blended and were applied thickly stayed. So all my Caucasian people ended up becoming yellow because I would blend my colors with yellow when I was doing those colors and stuff like that. So there are other ways of taming the beast. Okay, so I digress. Okay, so in order to see what I'm doing, once I'm happy with my lines, like once I've got the lines that I really want, I'm going to go over it with painters This is also an acrylic type paint. None of the colored markers that I have, the fabric markers, all except one comes with white. And that's only for dark, it's for dark fabrics, but it's rare to find. It's the tulip, I think they're tulip fabric markers for dark colored fabrics. I think they call them opaque markers. I used to buy them at Walmart, but they don't carry them anymore because people kept frickin' stealing the whites out of the pouches. I mean, I can understand starving artists, but damn, thieving artists need to go. You are a bane in our existence. Thieving hostages. Okay. Also, if you want to apply glitter, I find it best to use, grab some Mod Podge and just go ahead and mix your glitter with that, and it will stay. Just follow the rules where it says it, you have to let it cure for like a day or two. And then after that, it's washable. Or you can always buy the fabric glitter. It's it won't wash out. Just gotta follow the directions. Now, usually, it's a good rule of thumb to wait 24 to 48 hours before you wash any of these fabrics, the painted fabrics. Let me get my boobs in the picture. I'm going to try to bring this closer so you guys can see the details as I get lower to this. Okay, so now I'm working on her foot. I'll get back to her face in a bit. Yeah, a good rule of thumb is to wait 24 to 48 hours before you wash it. I don't want her feet to be too big. And you want to keep your paint as fresh as possible that you're using. There is the big temptation to reuse old paint or paint that's been sitting for 24 hours. Try not to if you can help it. I had paint that I had covered up, I think in a container like this where it keeps the air out is not so bad, but I had paint that was just covered over with plastic wrap, and that stuff, it was still a bit moist, but it eventually dried out on me. Well, actually, I don't want to say dried out on me. It flaked. It like became like rubber and like peeled itself off. It was a shirt that I really, really fell in love with, and let's see, her heel will be touching this part right here. So this is like the bottom of the box. Let's see, and we'll have the door of the box, or the lid. Right here. Yeah, yeah, it just was not pretty. And that was within a day or so of doing it. My paint was old and I paid the price. So learn from me, learn from my mistakes. Okay, so I'm gonna have to leave some of this down. I don't usually paint on this with this. I usually get a box, and I'll show you the type of boxes that I use. And you can use any type of container that would help. And I'll show you a couple of things that I went out and bought, and then just some that I just grabbed, and it's going to be working just fine. It just depends on the size of your fabric. On what kind of box or size that you'll need. Okay, I've got to make sure that these are just her clothes and not his clothes, because he's wearing her in this picture. Okay, I think that's just her. Okay, and this is part of her dress. Okay, and I'm getting down to the nub. Yeah, this process will eat up your white pencil. Okay, so she's got 3 little binds here. And then it comes down, and her feet are covered with something white. Her sandal's kind of a different color. Yeah, she's got a lot of colors. She wears a lot of colors. It's going to be fun trying to color match. Okay, it's also recommended to wash your garment or fabric before you get to painting and stuff like that. They say it's to wash the sizing off. I don't know what that means, but or it could be just like when it comes from the factory or wherever it came from, it has like a coating of something. I never did that. Which probably explains why stuff deteriorates over time. So if you can, and you got the ability to wash the garment first, go for it. For me, I don't have a washing machine, and like super easy access to it, to where I can just pop it in, dry it, and then just like get to work. It's a whole evolution for me. So I have the patience of a dog who has all his food in front of him, and it's like, let's just eat it all now and we'll worry about tomorrow later. That's how I am. So at least when it comes to art. So but knock on wood, I haven't had any ill repercussions from not washing it first, so it's not a big deal. You won't lose your paint, you won't lose your fabric marker. It's still fine. Just a recommendation. Okay, so her body's just about done. I have a tendency of gumming back and like rubbing and stuff, so I think if I can get this open, oh come on, stuck together with love. Come on, bro. Ah, do 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 do. All right, you got this. I'm gonna just take a light hand through here, and today it's being nice, and I'm just making some permanent lines so that when I carry this with me, it doesn't all rub off. These lines will stay, and then I'll be painting in between them, leaving a little bit of a gap to help me with my outlines. And I know that I'll have to take this off and readjust and get the bottom part. Okay, it's her coming out of the box. She's got a little, I think it's called an obi right here. I don't want to put too much detail right there. Yeah, this fuzz. You'll come across that with fabric markers too when you use those. She's a kind of a soft fabric. Yeah. Yeah, yep. Let's see in there's a little tie. Let's get these guys in here. This is just the basic outline. Okay, for this, you want to shake it and with the cap on supposedly. That way it doesn't splatter. Because these tips come right on out. Turn that sideways. Now, if you make a mistake, you can always paint over it. Yeah, dark fabric is kind of forgiving like that. Let's see, and our little sash is pretty big. And this is all just have it lean down. Okay, her head is going to come above the box here. I'm going to take a ruler and eventually straighten this out, but I don't think I have a ruler nearby, or even a straight edge, so I'm not worried about it right now. I might even extend it a bit. Okay, and then her hair will be like all over here. I just want to make sure I don't lose anything down here. See, she has a little bit of a sash right here. Or tie. Yeah, and then with one layer of this white painters, it gets absorbed and it becomes like a deep gray. But on screen it's still white. Okay, so let me make sure I got everything here. This is her hair. Let's see. Alright, so let's work on her face here. Okay. I need to be darker. And watch, after I'm done with all of this, I'll find that other pencil and be like, God, dandruff, where were you when I needed you? Let's see. I want to look one last time to see if maybe I just didn't pull it out of my bag here. I thought I did, though. Yeah, I did. I don't see it now. I'm like eviscerating my bag trying to find that one little pencil. The one pencil to rule them all. Okay, enough of that. And watch it turn up. Drive me insane. I wonder if it's underneath my chair. No. Yeah, pencils with the squares or the triangles around them is not a bad investment. I found you, you rat bastard! He went underneath my keyboard. Okay, this is the shit here. This here is a Stabilo white pencil. Let's see, here we go. Damn your yellow gold letters. Can't get you in the camera. I can't get you to focus. Focus, damn you! You can see the gray in my hands. We don't want to see the ash. Anyway, Stabilo. S-T-I-B-I. Hello? Oh, it's because it's rubbed off. Well, bump that. Anyway, it works good, lasts a long time. Except on here where it like kind of gets eaten up by the fabric. Okay. See, I'm trying to decide, do I want her to look that way or if I want her to look up at us? I'll have her look up at us. I'm coming to get you, bro. This is just to give me an idea of where everything is going to be, how her head is going to be tilted. Zoom in a bit. No. Let's see, I think I'll make it a little bit bigger so we can see it a little bit better. My nose itches. Okay. All right. Okay, her hair goes this way, but let's see. She's got pink eyes. I'm gonna make sure I get her hair straight here. She's got like a little, let's see, a little hair tie. Let's see. I don't want to put anything permanent down just yet. Okay. Make sure I have the right angle. Let's see. Do I like that angle though? Let's see. This is a nice angle. She's looking right at us. She also has a little scroll in her mouth, a tube to keep her from eating people. It's right there. Okay, this eye is too low. Behold the finger eraser. Okay, there we go. Less boobs, more eyes. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up higher. She's looking at us at an angle. It'll be easier to see when I use the black marker. Let's see, we'll bring her hair half more. Give her more forehead. Just want to make sure her head's the right shape, and then let's see. The eye is still a little too low. I need it to be about like right here. Okay. Okay, and this is part of her chest. I'll bring it in a little bit. Okay. Alright, so this is what we are working with so far. She's coming out of a box. It's kind of hard to see. But here's the box right here. I'm going to bring it in some. Well, I guess I can if I solidified it. Yeah, I did. Okay, no worries. Okay, so here's where we are so far. And I'm trying to decide if I want to put her other arm. See, it'll still be in the box. Okay. Alright. Okay, so here's the fun part. Go ahead and... What if I could take a quick snapshot? I can't zoom out enough to get the whole thing in. I'm going to take a quick snapshot so we have like something for the thumbnail. Okay, so I got that. So now I'm going to go ahead and paint. I'm going to go ahead and get her eyes so I can see. Actually, it doesn't matter because I'm going to probably paint this whole thing. Okay, let's see. I'll go all the way up to the line and then stop. Now this part is very boring and time consuming. But it's totally worth it. This might take me a few days, so I might break up the time with either another anime, or you know, working on some of the smaller areas on screen. It's just boring. But if you do want to leave, you know, draw your picture and you do want to leave yourself some hints, what I usually do is I go ahead and paint everything, or prime everything rather, with the white, leaving just enough space in between to give me kind of like an outline. And I build up the two sides. See how I kind of left myself a little bit of a gap there. Let me move my snippet here. I left myself a tiny, tiny gap. Bring it in. Bring in the love, bring in the love. There we go. It's hard to see because it's... And then what I'll do is, once those are dry, I can always go over it really lightly. So it's not as like in your face type of thing. It's more of a subtle gap. But that takes a lot of patience. Big areas like this, or maybe on her thighs, she does have a lot of stuff in between. I could take a bigger brush, or what is that called? The sponge brush, and just like, you know, bring my way right on through it. But let's see, I'm just going to get her forehead here. I'm not worried about the eyebrows. Those are going to get pinned in anyway. But knowing the eye placement helps me later on when I go to put my details in. Okay. So the rest is all just priming. I meant to start over here, but I got excited and just wanted to like work on her face. Now, fabric paints and stuff like that are not that expensive, but they're more expensive than just regular acrylics. Some of the regular acrylics that I found that are really great colors are only like 50 cents. Oh crap, that's right, I'm not supposed to paint on this. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to use my hair dryer and I'm going to switch to what I want to paint on. But first, Kim, start off with stopping. Okay, so give me a second. I'm going to switch it over to just plain music, and then I'm going to go ahead and dry this and take it off the hoop. Now, the reason why I don't want to paint on the hoop is that the board that I have underneath is not complete, doesn't completely cover everything beneath it, as well as I don't want to hit the sides. I don't want to paint on my board that's beneath it. Sometimes if I've got something like on the board, it'll show up when I'm doing my t-shirts, and it's no bueno. So here we go. Alrighty, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off of this. I mean, it's up to you if you want to do this. These come in various thicknesses. The only thing is that you run the risk of paint going on the other side of your hoodie or fabric. With the method with the box is not going to happen. All right. Now I also promised to show you other boxes that can be used. So give me one quick second. I'm going to go fetch them. I'm making these promises and not prepared. Okay. So hold up. All right. Okay, I'm going to show you the various types of things that would help when it comes to painting. Okay, one of the things that is pretty good is what I'm looking for is a box, something that has sides. That way I can pull my fabric across it and it'll keep it taut. You know, not tight, but you know, just enough so that it doesn't like collapse in. And if it does collapse in, it's going to collapse on this. Now, with it having this open area, when you put it in front of a fan, when you use your heat, and when you paint, the paint will, if you're putting it on thick and it runs, it'll hit this. It won't hit the back side of anything. Plus, you have this over it to kind of give it more space. So you're less likely to waste paint unless you let it bowl in. You won't be wasting your paint on the back of this, because paint does have a tendency to seep right through the fabric to the other side. So not only are you protecting your other side with this part, you're also keeping your paint or keeping your fabric stretched across this, and it keeps it from being wasted. A lot of people just put something like a board underneath it, and that paint seeps right from the shirt onto the board, gets into the board, and then smears across your shirt, and it could seep back through to the other side of the, you know, the side that you don't want it to seep into, either side. You also have a little bit more control when you use a box. So this right here is just a Jiffy Foil lasagna pan. It has like at least an inch or inch and a half between. So when I stretch it across, and I'll demonstrate like on a shirt. Let's see, do I have a thin shirt nearby? I'll take the closest one I've got. So like this, if I stretch it across a shirt, boom. So when I paint, I can have it gathered. It's not going to bowl in. I've got that inch between the other side. And then when I apply heat, the air will, I guess, hit it evenly and bounce up off the back and kind of cool it. You know, not cool it, I'm sorry. Do its thing. All right. So there's this type of box. There's this one. This one's a big roaster pan. Turkey, eat your heart out. This is for like larger shirts. And I can just drape it across. and bam, you know, I've got a really good painting surface. It's not too loose. I would probably use like a rubber band or something like that, and then just as I go, apply heat or put it in front of a fan and let it dry. Okay, so that works. Or I could just, because you want to keep it across so that your paint is going to stay on the fabric. It's not going to drip to the bottom. Okay, next thing I'm going to use or show you. I found this one at my job. It's just a box that paper came in. It's got these little notches on it that bring it even higher up. So not only do I have the sides to protect it, let's see. And the cool thing about these is that you can leave it on the box and let it dry. You know, here it is pulled across. You don't have to worry about it touching the bottom, and the sides keep it from, you know, it just keeps it from touching the bottom, and it protects the back side of your shirt. Okay. Last box, and the box that I'm going to be using for the hoodie. With the tendency of boxes, you want to put things in them. And here's a box here. Basically, you want something that's going to be a good size for your hoodie. This one was a delivery box from Amazon. And what I did is I basically cut one of the edges off, one of the ends off, and I've got a good painting surface. It's deeper than like maybe the inch side of this guy, and yeah, this gives you a little bit of protection, but it doesn't have that back end to protect the other side of the fabric. So win-win. All right, and yeah, it's corrugated, and it doesn't matter because none of it is touching your artwork per se. I just don't recommend using this kind of board or this kind of cardboard when you're drawing. Unless you want that texture, that's the only time that I would do that. Okay, so I'm throwing Nezuko in here. I've got good distance from, I have my back protected, and I have a good surface here for painting. The only thing is that I've got a rack in front of me, my boobs, and it gets in the way a bit. But this can be adjusted. Just slide it. The hoodie itself is pretty heavy, so I pretty much just have it wrapped around. So my sides are protected, my underside is protected, and this is hovering above the box beneath it, so it'll dry a lot faster. A lot less waste. And I wish I would have realized this many moons ago, like over 5 years ago, when I had first did my, was just teaching myself how to do this drawing on t-shirts thing, because I just had this wild hair up my butt that I wanted to wear my art. Nobody sees it. It's always in a drawing book. So I felt kind of like weird whenever I'm going to start on the right side like I was supposed to, trying to show off my work. It's like people can be drawn, and I can be a walking billboard. I've gotten so many requests to do jackets and stuff like that from people that I saw every day or would see on the bus. So I ended up getting business cards and handing those out. Another thing I was doing was creating a one of those QR codes where people can what is it called? They can scan it with their cell phone and they'd get the same information on how to contact me. And I would put that onto the shirt as well. So place like that's like, ooh, can I get your business card? And if I'm wearing it, I just tell them to scan the code and or take a picture of the code, and they can go ahead and use that. Like a walking billboard. Yeah, because I need a side hustle. Who doesn't need a little side hustle? Okay, so on these big areas here, I'm going to use the sponge. Oh, this is the downside of having my mouse really close to my work. Give me a second, I gotta bring the sound back up. Do, 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 and find the window that it's in. We'll start the song over. And here we go. Now if it's not tight enough, you can always use rubber bands and tighten up the sides. Now if I can find a sponge in the shape or size of a paintbrush, oh, I'd be in hog heaven. I don't like using the little daubers that you would use for, what is that called? For stencils. I don't know, the ones I seem to come across are, they leave bristles. That's kind of annoying on my artwork. It makes me bristly. Now once this is primed, you can draw on it. Like with the pencil. Number 2 pencil comes up really good on this. Now usually when I am drawing on like a white t-shirt, I usually use a dark pencil, kind of like a number 9, that range. Anything with a B on it. 2B, 6B, something dark so I can see it. When I do my final lines, I'll go ahead and complete this side. Okay, so when I come across something like that where it's gathering a bit, just pull it tighter. There we go. All right, I'm getting a little messy, so I'm gonna hit this with some heat so I can bring myself back into the center here. I meant to work from this way across so I wouldn't get messy, but you know, I'm weird like that. So give me a second, I'm gonna switch it over. I'm probably making people cringe by touching it, but I make myself cringe too. Um, yep. Okay, so I'm doing my Mod Podge experiment on this. I wanted to see if on the front I'm using Mod Podge with fabric paint, and on the back here I'm using Mod Podge with an acrylic paint, just a regular acrylic. To keep the acrylic onto your fabric, you'll want to heat set it, which is basically tossing it in dryer for like 30 minutes or so, and then it should be good to go. Or you can iron it if your iron gets hot enough for something like that. But I prefer to just go ahead and toss it in dryer. But I also prefer to use strictly fabric paint itself. It does the same job as the acrylic. But this acrylic white paint here has been pretty awesome. I am using a Walmart brand. Let me see. What's it called? And maybe it's found at Hobby Lobby too. Since I can't get to Michael's all the time. This is called Apple Barrel. This is 20403E white. Matte acrylic paint, quick drying, easy cleanup, from Plaid. Plaid is pretty good. I've bought different Plaid products. But yeah, it comes out really super white. Mod Podge itself dries clear, and it's a sealant. So I'm hoping that it will make my acrylic that much tighter to the shirt, where it doesn't break apart or anything like that. Over time, like over like 3 or 4 years of constant washing and whatnot, you know, you got it in the rotation. Paint on fabric tends to break up, especially if you don't baby it. You know, wash it in like gentle cycles and let it air dry, and you know, give it like the expensive ramen. I don't know. You know, babying it. Um, you know, but if you love something enough, you'll take really good care of it. Me, it's like, it's nice. Yeah, toss it in a washer, toss it in the dryer. I can't have fragile things around me. Okay, and I believe this is all her hair and her shoulder. I think her hair like comes over her shoulder a little bit. So what I'll end up doing is just going ahead and painting this whole thing just straight up white, and then sorting it out later. It's like, why did you bother drawing on this thing if you're going to paint over it and lose all your detail? Well, I'm just going to have to re-add it. Plus, I just really wanted to make sure the proportions were down right. And again, me with the patience of a dog who's got all this food in front of them. Worry about tomorrow later. Tomorrow? What's tomorrow? It'll never come. It'll never come. So we gotta eat it all now. Alright, I've only got a few more minutes left. And then I have to vamoose. But you kind of get the gist of what I'm up to here. And if you don't have time to watch the entire beast, if you've gotten this far, cool. But yeah, I don't expect anybody to sit through this entire thing, because it's as interesting as watching paint dry. But there will be a speed video on the rest of the jacket, so I will go ahead and keep pushing on, pushing on. Those of you who do take the time to watch a video or two, feel free to leave a comment. That's cool. If you are interested in something besides the painting, like if my crayon colorings, my humble crayon colorings of what brought you here, please let me know. I'm not at that level yet where I can post, you know, polls and stuff like that. I'm not quite there yet. Yeah, it kind of sucks. So, yeah, just let me know what it is that brought you, and I'll see if I can do more of that. You know, that made you go, I are subscribing. I want to see more of this, and then I'm like, oh, this is a bait and switch. You're not doing any more of these. So just let me know. And I am more than happy to like dedicate like a month to just doing what it is that brought you. Now this is pretty cool. She looks like a skull. Yeah, I want to do. I think I want to do some Day of the Dead. Such a colorful holiday. For something so bittersweet. Oh, bittersweet holiday. Alright, so we got the first part of Nezuko done. Nezuko! Nezuko! And I wish I had a way to make this dry faster. But I'm going to take it with me, and I will keep working on the smaller details. Yeah, this is a big project, big project. Takes a while. Yeah, so far with the Mod Podge in it, I don't see any real difference in the quality or anything like that. It does take a little bit longer to dry, especially with the heat applied, but I don't see too much of a difference with the primer here. This paint's pretty good. Alright, so I'm about to run out of time. And you guys, I hope to see you in the next video. And if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. And if there's anything that you're having problems on, if any of my tutorials on doing what I do, if you have any questions on any of that, I am more than happy to do a video on something like that. Inktober is coming up, and I'm still looking for a theme. I'm thinking I'm going to use an anime theme with my prompts. So just because I can't keep crap simple. Alright, so I'm going to stop painting and start air drying, and you guys have a great one. I will see you on the morrow. Take care. Bye-bye.